Good evening, I'm Wright Bland, and welcome to my summary of Day 3 of the trial of Pat King. I fundamentally believe that this is an important trial in the history of Canada and will really help illuminate where we are as Canadians in our trajectory as a country. Are we going towards open, free fairness, or are we going towards something different? So, Day 3, it's the first day of the trial that we haven't completed a full witness. The morning half was dedicated to Miss Natalie Hinault continuing her testimony from OC Transpo. Miss Hinault, she used to be with the special events and business coordination, basically the people planning detours. Now she's at a different section, but at the time of convoy, she helped plan detours. So she participated in a lot of different meetings between stakeholders and partners of the city and so on. And we're going to dive into that a little bit, but it was a lot. I mean, I feel like I am now an expert on OC Transpo. It got to the point where at one point the judge went and said, we need to drop the acronyms. It's too much, because she's no offense in any way to the witness, Miss Hinault. She's a fantastic witness, very descriptive, very well-paced, very the voice very soft, some have commented. Nothing bad there. A very fine exemplary witness, but talking about the left and the rights of different routes, how rerouting works, the different meetings that people have when there's a large event in Ottawa, like the SCC, which is the Service Command Center inside of OC Transpo. Then inside the city of Ottawa, they have the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, or something like that, and other different amalgamations, meetings in the city. And then there's the NCRCC, which is the National Capital Region Command Center, which has people from the city of Ottawa, like OC Transpo, the roads departments, the traffic department, Ottawa Police, Ontario Provincial Police, RCMP, and in fact it takes place inside of an RCMP building. So we did finish with the Crown Chief of Miss Hinault, and we began the Defence Cross, and Defence Cross was quite long. And what it boiled down to was what routes were impacted the most. We heard the 6, the 7, the 14, I believe the 9 and the 10. Could be wrong. There's so many details, folks. It was long. It was a long day. But it was getting interesting towards the end, where basically we have the point of contention. One of the major points of contention are the fact that there's this door that was closed at the Rideau Center, in the area of the Rideau Center, at least. And it's not quite clear who closed it. This is the door on the corner of Rideau and Sussex where people access the LRT. And the witness was asked by defense, do you know, was that OC Transpo who closed that, or was it somebody else? And she said she couldn't exactly remember who ordered that door closed, and the defense seemed to imply that it's possible it was closed because the mall was closed, but I don't think we really got a clear answer on there. But what we did get was that the witness didn't exactly know who ordered that, and then there's stuff in the minutes that it's like, okay, we're gonna close the door because of social media complaints or something. But no, ultimately the decision was made by them. And then there was also something put to the witness by Miss Natasha Calvino for Mr. Pat King, a phenomenal defense attorney, where it was asking Miss Hinault about, let me rephrase it, what did she know when it comes to how did she know why the roads were closed? She didn't know. She didn't know if the police were closing it because they told everyone to stay in place, or protesters refused to leave, and Miss Hinault agreed to that. Also, testimony and talk about the different things that were in the way. The Jersey barriers, Miss Hinault had a little bit more knowledge about those. She knows that she doesn't know if roads from the city of Ottawa put them in, or a contractor, but she knows they had to take them out at the end, and so on. So there was more elaboration on that. And possibly, again, big thing that cannot say one way or the other if police closed the roads because either they told people to stay where they were, or because the people refused to move. And another point, the defense was saying something. The judge was saying, are you trying to say that, because there was discussion about how OC Transpo plans for events, and usually they get information ahead of time. And the defense was saying something, and the judge took it to mean that, are you trying to say that the Ottawa police were not providing information to the partners or something, or it was their fault for closing the roads, or whatever it was? And the defense basically Calvino said, yes, that's actually something I intend to bring evidence that shows that the police closed the roads, that they didn't communicate properly, or whatever the point was. So that was an interesting exchange between the judge and the defense, as the defense was trying to ask questions to the witness. So it was, again, very technical, very long, tons of acronyms. If you want to learn about turning radiuses and buses and streets they can't go down, or maybe that they go down sometimes, like Argyle or whatever, or the so-called weak points in the system, the crossovers over the canal, like Pretoria and Mackenzie King and Rideau Street, and I guess that would be Cummings, where Rideau crosses over to Montreal Road, and it goes on, and then the 417, the ramp surfing we heard about. Then you could go ahead and look into that testimony. It was very interesting about the door, that they closed that LRT door at Rideau because they heard things on social media, and that the witness from OC Transpo, Ms. Hano, cannot say one way or the other whether roads were closed by Ottawa Police because Ottawa Police told people to stay, or because they refused to leave. She doesn't have knowledge one way or the other, so can't speak to it. And there was some contention because the minutes of the NCR, I think these are minutes from the SCC. Originally, I guess Miss Natasha Calvino thought the minutes were from the NCRCC, but they're actually from the SCC, but they involve other agencies as well. The SCC, again, within OC Transpo, the committee from OC Transpo. I can't remember the acronym already. I'm out of it with this thing, man. It's a lot of info, but basically there's other partners there. Gatineau Transit shows up. Their safety teams at OC Transpo show up. All the different departments in OC Transpo, like fleet maintenance, facilities maintenance, they all show up. So that's why the belief that I guess Miss Natasha had, Miss Calvino had, that there was perhaps other stakeholders involved, and maybe this was an NCRCC meeting. But still, I think there's 57 of these meetings that we're planning to go over, somewhere in the 50s. And there was some point of contention where the Crown basically was saying that they didn't want these meetings, but I think we got to the fourth or the fifth one. They don't want these meetings included for the truth of their contents, and the judge came around and said, well, if you're going to argue that position, this is information that the witness brought to the witness that she could speak on, so on and so forth, and she was there for this. So if you're going to say that you're challenging these things for the truth of their contents, and you're basically going to have to prove it, is what I interpreted the judge as saying to the Crown, because the Crown was not wanting these put in as numbered exhibits, these minutes, these meetings, I guess, and these sit reps, as they're called, that are prepared on an hourly basis when needed, and at other times on a slower interval when things are not evolving, when things are more static. So the defense trying to admit these sit reps from the SCC, the Service Command Center, I remember the acronym again, into the record, into the exhibits as numbered exhibits, and the Crown saying, well, no, we don't agree to them, to the truth of their contents. And at one point, Ms. Calvino for the defense said, well, if the Crown's going to, because the sit reps say things like, we lost Queen Street at such a time because of high volume of traffic. And Ms. Calvino basically went, well, if the Crown's going to take the position that Queen Street was open, then I'm fine with that. So the judge came around and said, and the defense was basically saying, oh, they don't follow the rules of evidence, we can't say this, that, or the other thing. And the judge basically, I believe, sided with Ms. Calvino and was like, well, in the particular instances that you're going to have a contention with the truth of contents, you're going to need to point those out to me so I can pay close attention to whatever disputes arise. So what ended up happening is when we came back from the lunch break, the parties, the Crown and defense, had not come to an agreement on how to move forward concerning those sit reps from the OC Transpo SCC Service Command Center meetings during convoy, but they had come to an agreement to, sorry, I'm being blasted by like so many different lights right now. I was so tired. They came to the agreement to postpone Miss Natalie Hanaud's testimony, I believe, until next Wednesday, when they can come to more agreement, instead of having to go through every single one of the sit reps on cross, because they say very interesting things in them, like the thing about the door with the access to the LRT, paratranspo service, the level of service at different times, the green, yellow, red light system that OC Transpo uses, green being service is good, yellow being service is slowed down, red being service is really slowed down or stopped, and it speaks to those things at different points of convoy. So the defense is particularly interested in that, and we're going to have to wait till next Wednesday to see how the Crown and defense want to move forward. So we moved to our next witness after lunch. And this is a new witness who we have not yet heard from. This is the 5th witness of the trial so far, and who has not appeared at the trial of Tamara and Chris. Her name is Alison Yaroskovich, and she is a supervising crime analyst at the Ottawa Police Service. At the time, she was just an crime intelligence analyst, crime intelligence analyst supervisor, but at the time she was just a crime intelligence analyst for the Ottawa Police. So she was used as a witness for the Crown to bring forward multiple pieces of Pat King's social media. We saw a snapshot of his page, how many followers he had at a certain time. I think it was in the number of 300 and something thousand. I think this was during Convoy on a particular date. And then we watched several videos of Pat King. And this is, of course, going to be, as the Crown said, the majority of their case, where and we see in those videos things like, most of all, people coming up, when Pat King is in a video walking on the street, I notice the amount of people who come up to him to thank him, to shake his hand, to give him a hug, to tell him to thank you, to say, tell him their story a little bit. I drove 5 hours to be here because of you. And that's what you're seeing in the video. At one point, the most recent video we had to stop at because thankfully the day ended. Thank you. I also want to say that the videos have been marred by technical difficulty after technical difficulty. The Crown will get a minute into a video and all of a sudden there will be an echo, and it's intolerable. The Crown will restart, try a different way of playing the video. So this has happened several times. In other videos, there's technical difficulties on Pat King's side when he's doing a live stream, watching a city council meeting or something. I believe we watched a video with this where Pat King showed a piece of city council meeting where I believe it was Councillor Sean Menard from the city of Ottawa talking to then Ottawa Police Chief Peter Slowly and Deputy Chief Steve Bell about enforcement, towing, things like that. If they had resistance, and Slowly he's not talking about resistance, he's saying that they don't have resources, so on and so forth. At one point I think they said they were arresting a lot of people. Pat King cuts back to his video where he was playing that video and he says they're lying through their teeth, nobody's being arrested except for an old man for honking and somebody else for a flag. So Pat King also played in that same live stream a video of Jagmeet Singh with his newborn kid, and the video is silent while Jagmeet is speaking, so it's basically like watching a slideshow of Jagmeet's face moving around like every 5-10 seconds with holding the kid, and we can't hear what he's saying. But then Pat King comes back to comment and he's like, he's lying through his teeth, and he's like, why are you using your kid for a live stream? It's bad enough that he's got to be your son or your kid, but now he's got to listen to you talk. I mean, I couldn't help it. And then we watched other videos of Pat King, like when he was getting in there, saying they were setting up a command center, that they're in an undisclosed location, that they're getting out there to lay on the horns every 30 minutes for 10 minutes at a time, talking about setting up the base camp in the farms, 2,000 pounds of food, the base camp at 302 Coventry Street, or Coventry as he was calling it, wherever it was. Then talking about in another video, the possible containment center they were building in Lansdowne. He was going to go and investigate that at the end of the video. In many of the videos, we see and hear Freedom George, and we know it's him because we see him, and we also hear him yelling freedom a lot. And again, Pat, whenever he's on the street, people coming up to him, thanking him. In one of the videos, there's two people. Pat pans to them, says, why are you behind me? And they're like, oh, we're protecting you, in a really French accent. He's like, these people are always following me. And you could tell there was a lot of tension, a lot of emotions, a lot of different things. And at one point we watched I think it was the same live stream where he showed the Jagmeet Singh. It was live stream, and they opened, I think it was even StreamYards they were using, and we saw an opening montage with that song Just Drive by Jamie Nicks, I think it is. The Just Drive, with the compilation video of all the beautiful scenes from the convoy moving across the country, like the fireworks in Manitoba and all the trucks moving about. And I'm just thinking, my goodness, thankfully that those people stood up and we were able to have a country, because things were really bad at that time. Things were getting really nasty. There was definitely different classes of citizens, and it was getting ugly, and I'm sincerely panicked and worried for what the future was. I'm glad that there was able to be what is truly a peaceful protest that happened, regardless of what people think of any individual's behavior. It was measurably a peaceful protest with horns and fumes. Those are the complaints, not people being beaten or whatever. This was a peaceful protest. Things were not burned down. There was horns, there was fumes. That's what we're hearing about. We're not hearing about people being sent to the hospital from being attacked by a gang of hooligans. This was a peaceful protest by any logical and reasonable comparison, and thankfully for that, because the country was in a dark place at the time. And watching that compilation video really brought that back to me. You know, we are watching this criminal trial for somebody's alleged individual criminal actions during the protest, but man, they better have some good evidence to send him away for the years that they're seeking to send him away for. It better not just be smells and horns, because that just doesn't cut it when you're talking about that kind of criminal time in jail. When people who are hurting other people and doing severe criminal things, unspeakable things, are walking out of jail every day, and some people getting like 50 convictions or whatever, walking out of jail. But that's a topic for another video. I know whatever you think about Pat King, they better have better evidence than what they've shown to send him away for the years in prison that they're trying to do to this guy. Like, regardless of whatever you think of him, they better have better evidence than this to send him away for years in prison. I don't know what they're seeking, whether it's 10 like Litch and Barber, Tamara and Chris, or if it's 6 years. I've heard someone say 4.5. I don't know. I don't think anyone really knows. We'll hear, but they better have better evidence. And thanks again that people stood up for our country when we needed it the most. That's all for today. The Witness, after the Crown played these different videos of Pat talking about things. Yes, he's rough around the edges. Yes, he says things in a very unfiltered way. But not in a way that I'm saying, oh, this is criminal. You know, he's talking about the horns honking, but that can't be used to prove that people were listening to him like a commander, or that he had complete command and control of the protest. I don't think that's going to do what the Crown wants it to do. We'll see. The judge was definitely writing lots of things down. We'll see how it plays out. At the end of the day, does the actions justify the punishment that they're seeking? And I don't think it does. So far, certainly it doesn't. We'll see where they go with things from here. And I'll be here to tell you about it every day. Today was a particularly long day. The Witness, after every video test, was asked if the transcript and the video were accurate to each other, whether she or someone else downloaded it, whether she was familiar with the locations, or at certain parts that Pat King, like I remember during the 3-minute compilation song, Just Drive, there's like 1 second where Pat King comes on the screen, the Crown froze it, and it's like to the Witness, Miss, sorry, I have to go back again, Allison Yerasokovich, do you recognize this man? And she's like, yeah, that's Pat King. That's where we are right now. So we'll continue with videos. I heard there's quite a few more videos to come. I'll let you know how it goes. And until next time, I'm Right Blend. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share. Let me know down in the comments what do you think about this trial so far. What do you think about all these trials? Are you appreciating the coverage? Let me know. Like, share, subscribe, follow, whatever. Thank you so much.